everyone. I'm Stuart Meek. I'm a senior economic developer with the city of Centennial, and joined with me from the city, as Brian said, is Melanie Ward and Steffi Schreck. We're very excited that you're all here. Welcome to the Spark Centennial program for 2021. The goal of this program is to use the power of unforgettable experiences to create remarkable places that do a few things. One is we want to help all of your businesses to grow in terms of revenue, customer awareness, loyalty, those sorts of things. We also want to create interest and connection to our shopping centers using that power of unforgettable experiences. And we want to just generally support connection among residents and just sparking interest and wonder in our residents. So that's what we're after. We've hired Brian to bring all the wonderful network and talents that he has to bear to run this program through the year, which will culminate in some great activations that highlight your businesses, everything that you learn through the program, and the work that you'll do with the artists and creatives that you meet along the way. And hopefully get to a place at the end of this where we all can be excited and showcase that to the community in a way that we all can benefit from. So very excited that you're all here and looking forward to the next 6 months or so. I know that you're gonna have a lot of fun, so enjoy and have fun.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen here. All right, so everyone can see that? Yep. Cool. All right, so just kind of go over today's agenda. So I'm gonna give a brief 10-minute intro to the program. And then Linda's going to, there's Linda. Linda's also our guest speaker today. So Linda will be laying down some of her knowledge and also walking us through our super fun get to know you exercise after we go over the intro. Then I'll do a 10-minute kind of presentation of really kind of the overview of really kind of, I guess, the getting into the depths of this program. Then we'll do a 5-minute Q&A for you guys to kind of ask questions and dig a little bit deeper. Then we're going to go into Linda's presentation. That'll be about 15 minutes. We'll have time after that to do more Q&A, and then we'll go over our worksheet and the homework assignment for today's lesson. That's really fun. All right, so my name is Brian Corrigan, and I am a creative placemaking strategist. These are all of the companies and organizations that I've been fortunate to work with. And I'll send you over my website if you guys want to look a little bit deeper into those projects. But let's get into the Spark Centennial Experience Accelerator. So we have 2 rules for participating in this program. Number 1 rule, do awesome work. And number 2, have lots of fun. So we're not going to make you sign any sort of formal contract. However, we do want to make sure that everyone is like ready to participate and that you're going to be in the program all the way through. So our informal formal commitment is if everyone can find the little like emoji thumbs up, which is at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to go ahead and then hit that. Can you, okay, perfect. Seeing thumbs up there. Love it, okay, good. Hey Mel, where's yours? There we go, okay, sweet. So we have everyone's commitment there, which is great. So the program, again, is really thinking about how do we pair artists with businesses and businesses with artists to make super fun customer experiences. that really kind of add to the business's competitive advantage. And to do that, we have a program that we've put together that will really run all the way through August in terms of our meetings, and then it will launch in September. So today's meeting, you can see there what our topics are, which we're doing right now. And then below that are really kind of future dates with our future topics. So the one thing about this is I want to make sure that everyone, that we're meeting at a time that everyone really can make it to. And so after the presentation today, after our session, I'm going to send out a poll and put some times that we can potentially meet, and whatever we decide on as a group, that will be our time moving forward with the rest of the sessions. And also, there will be a little bit of a survey at the end, so you can give us feedback on what we're doing right, what we need to improve. Again, just so we're making this work for you. I'll also send this curriculum as well, so you can really have a little bit more time to kind of look at what we have planned. And we're going to keep a little bit of the guests secret, just to, you know, make it a little bit more of a fun experience for everyone. All right, so now it comes down to the super fun time that Linda is going to provide for us. So Linda, I'm going to go ahead and.
Okay, while we're changing screen shares here, everybody can just, we asked you to bring a marker and some blank paper. If you didn't gather that, that's okay. Any blank paper you have and any pen you have will work as well. Just whatever you've got handy. And Christine's got to run to the cupboard for some crayon, paper, there we go. Crayons count, whatever you got hanging around. Okay. All right, this is a super simple little exercise. I'm just gonna ask you a question, and you're gonna write down the answer to the question. It's mostly just 1 or 2 words. And then when I say share, you're all gonna share your answers to the camera, okay? So very simple, we'll just start out really simply. I think Stuart's dashing off, but he can play catch up because this is a very simple opening question, okay? The question is, you're gonna write this down on the paper and I'll tell you when to show it. Just 1 word, you only get 1 word on this one. 1 word that describes your business. 1 word describes your business, go. All right, time is up. Okay, let's see those 1 words that describe your business. What do we got? Show them to the camera. We got maximalist, a maximalist. I love it. And Laura's got tabletop. Makes sense. That's in the name of Enda. Melanie's a service-oriented gal. Bridget, you got botanicals. And fun, Todd, I love that. And Christine, bring it a little closer. Oh, portraits, yes. And Chris, beer, 1 word, 4 letters. That's all you need. I love it. And Veronica, are you with us today? You could give your answer by voice if you'd like. Here, let me get you.
I think she's on mute.
Yep, she's on mute.
That's okay. And Stuart, thank you for your service. I see you there. There you go. Thanks, Chris, for the beer. Oh, okay. And some more fun. Awesome. Okay. Second question here. Second question. Super simple. You can answer it however you like. How long have you been in Colorado? How long have you been in Colorado? Pretty easy. Go. Okay, we got some answers here. Let's see how long this is not a competition. We've got 6 years from Stuart and 23 years from Christine. Born here, Bridget. I love it. She's not revealing how old she is. 14 from Todd. 44, Laura. I see you. 5. Is that 5.5, Frankie? That's a decimal? Yes. Okay. Because you don't look old enough to be 55. 2.5 from Chris. And we got 27. No, I got 27 from Steffi. Chris, I got you wrong. What is it?
25.
25.
Yeah, there's no decimal there.
There's no decimal. I'm seeing decimals. I see decimals. Okay, here we go. Next question is, you might have to go back in time a little bit, maybe go back to your youth. We'll see where you are, okay? Just write down what is your most memorable Halloween costume? Your most memorable Halloween costume, go. Okay, most memorable. Some people are writing a novel. I like that. A handmade unicorn, Veronica. I love it. Chris, bring yours a little closer there. We got a satin pumpkin sack dress. I got to hear more about that. The Bride of Frankenstein, the Invisible Man. That's hard to do, Todd. But Black Widow Spider, Wreck-It Ralph, Captain Hook, Anglerfish, a Dalmatian. Oh, I bet that was adorable. The Bride of Frankenstein. I just love that. Okay, wait, Frankie, can you tell me exactly what an anglerfish looks like? Oh no, I shouldn't have asked. He's gonna go get it. Of course, he's got his anglerfish costume handy, like you do.
Yeah.
Oh, Frankie, the tension is building. Okay. Oh, there it
yes.
is. Oh, one of those with the thing.
Amazing.
Yeah, I love it. Yes, I love that. So awesome. Okay, all right. Final question here. The final reveal, folks. Last one. Write down. I need to think about this a little hard because think about what I'm asking. Okay. Write down your most useless talent. Your most useless talent. Go. Okay, most useless talent. I know it's a hard question sometimes. Let's see what we got. What do we got here? A really good spinning watermelon seeds. See, that's it. Juggling, sometimes useless, sometimes not. Stuart, you're right. Roll my tongue. We might have to see that one later. Naturally big hair. Losing everything. I love it.
That's my talent.
Taking pics of my cat. And we got identifying M&M colors by the taste. I swear that's impossible. There's just no way. I can't wait to try that. Okay. All right, Laura, I think you had the rolling of the tongue. Can we see the rolling of the tongue just for fun? Mm-hmm. There it is, folks. There it is. Well done. Well done. Well, I hope you feel like y'all know each other a little bit better now, and we'll do some more of this along the way, and you guys will learn even more. So there we go, Brian.
Awesome.
All warmed up.
Well, I have to say this. I like to try to bring Linda everywhere I go because she has the best soundtracks, like best music all the time. So anyway, thank you, Linda, for that super fun experience. Okay, all right. So what we're gonna cover in the next section is really kind of the intersection of really the experience economy, the transformation economy, and the creative economy. And that's really what we're trying to achieve with the Spark Centennial Experience Accelerator. So 25 years ago, the Dream Society predicted that people would mostly buy stories, legends, emotions, which is what we're in today, right? Because 74% of Americans prefer experiences over things and stuff. So we're going to show a couple examples. I was just at the opening of the Omega Mart, the new Meow Wolf exhibit, which is the perfect kind of poster child for the experience economy. And I think the fun thing about the Meow Wolf exhibit here, which is a grocery store with secret portals into their multiverse, is their products. So it took me the whole time of being there to realize that the products on the shelf were things that you could actually buy. And so when I first looked at this like shelf of chips, I just thought that they were empty chip bags and that it was really just like an art installation. But these empty chip bags actually weren't empty chip bags, they're pillows. And so this is really a great example of really kind of what I would call immersive retail, where the products that are for sale are part of really the experience and part of the art. This next project, this is called Nakamura. And Nakamura is a glow in the dark ramen experience. And so they worked with artists and chefs and mixologists to develop glow in the dark ramen. And the funny thing is that the glow in the dark ramen, it's all made from natural ingredients. And so there's nothing unnatural about what you're eating except for that it glows in the dark. And the immersive experience is based off of Japanese folklore. And so essentially the waiters that bring you this glow in the dark ramen and glow in the dark food and drinks are Japanese spirits. And so it really starts to blend this idea of dining with theater, with art and experience. And it travels. It's actually just built in a shipping container, and they ship it from one city to the next city to the next city. And as someone who buys a ticket to it, you get a golden coin. And so if you start to collect more golden coins, then you get access to different experiences that other people, the general public, can't actually purchase. Has anyone been here? So, and I would say this, I can't see everyone, so you guys can just unmute yourself and you can just like throw out questions or talk over me or ask questions. I don't mind at all, so like we'll make it a conversation. This is the Magic Castle in Los Angeles, and it's just a regular like motel that really is like #1 on all of the like travel sites like Travelocity, Expedia. And they got there not because it's like the most fancy place to stay at, but it's the most fun. So essentially they have this popsicle hotline. And so when you're at the pool, you can go over to the phone, you pick it up, and they'll have the butler come to the pool and serve you a popsicle. And that simple act of providing a popsicle experience has really kind of made them legendary. And if you think about their competition in Los Angeles with all of the super fancy places that you can stay, being #1 consistently just because of a red phone and really a delivery, a popsicle, just shows the power of experience. This is in Paonia, Colorado. And I love Paonia because they're really, well, I'll say this. They call themselves unofficially Mayberry on acid. And it is so much fun there because really in the small town, I have not ever seen such a high concentration of really just creative people, artists, and really kind of experiential things that you can do. But one of the fun things is that you can go really to their farms, and you can really tour the farm. You get to see where the agriculture is growing, and then they do these beautiful farm to table dinners that are really just like out of this world. And I had to throw this in. Frankie is a part of our group, and this is one of my favorite local examples of really what art can do to really enhance the experience of a business. So this is close to Studio City. I think it's like 13th and Sherman. And I'm gonna have to say, and I'm gonna give props to Frankie, but before that Frankie did this work on the front of the building, the bakery was definitely good, but I had never seen a line around the corner until all of a sudden you would enter the bakery through what I think is this monster's mouth. And it really, I think, totally amplified their business. And like I said, it always seems like there is a line around the corner now for this bakery, which had been there for a really long time. But by really integrating arts into really kind of the business, now it's totally spectacular. So that's kind of our portion of the experience economy. Now we're going to talk about the transformation economy, which, I think that really kind of with COVID has accelerated us more towards the transformation economy. And it's really just based on this idea of it, instead of just be like from being to becoming, and that really what defines us as consumers is really that we're always doing stuff, that we're pushing ourselves to level up, that we're finding our true potential. So we're experimenting, we're testing, we're creating, we're affecting, we're discovering. So I'd say like really kind of one of the poster kids for really kind of the transformation economy is really Burning Man. And really kind of, I think whenever you talk to someone who's been to Burning Man, they always say that the event affected them in a positive way. And that when they really kind of come back home, they're a different type of person. Another transformation economy business is SoulCycle, right? It's like you walk in one way and you leave another way. And so really that these businesses become kind of memberships for your betterment. And that, again, you're there to really kind of realize your full potential. This is an online one. This is Headspace. And Headspace is an app for really kind of doing meditation. And it's crazy really just to kind of see the growth that they've had, especially just during COVID, and really kind of thinking about the role that they play in people's daily lives of really kind of how they help people achieve a certain kind of outcome. And I bring that up because really, okay, so this is Selfridges in London. And so Selfridges is one of those legacy retailers that have been around forever. And they're starting to really kind of adapt to really kind of offer both experiences and transformation within their retail space. And so they're providing spaces for people to realize their full potential by hosting gatherings where people talk about wellness, or really kind of hiring artists to do immersive environments that people can experience inside of the store. So it's, again, just like, I love this example because it's really one of those kind of legacy businesses, just really kind of adapting and also transforming and growing to really meet the needs of today's consumers. So I think Maslow totally predicted this. We are now in the top of the pyramid, right? We are in this space where we're self-actualizing. And this is really kind of what consumers are looking for in today's market. It's really, again, kind of going back to what I said earlier about that 74% of Americans prefer experiences over things and stuff. We've really kind of, I think, are at peak stuff, right? Like we all have so much stuff, probably too much stuff. So how do we kind of start to really add experiences to our menu offering? But I'm going to say this, I'm a more is more type of guy. So I'm like, how do we really kind of combine experiences with things and stuff? And to me, I'm like, we'll capture it all. So how you do that is really kind of thinking about how do you craft delight? Delight is really kind of your competitive advantage, right? It's the thing that when you spark delight in someone, they go and tell their friends and they share it on social media and they become your cheerleaders for your business. And so crafting delight is going to really be at the core of this program of really thinking about how do we craft delight for our customers. And just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, delight is at the top of our pyramid when it comes to our customers' pyramid of needs. And so again, like when we think about like the typical kind of business model where you're solving for pain, well, I would say this, like there's a lot of products out there that solve for that customer's pain, right? And like kind of thinking about when you're just in the business of being functional or efficient, like those are just really kind of pieces that you have to have in order to even be in business. That's not enough, right? So it's not really enough to just solve the customer's pain. We have to really kind of transform it into providing delight. And I think this is just kind of a new kind of shift that I've been kind of thinking about. And going back to like, let's say the Selfridges example, when you kind of think about how like in the past, like a fashion brand would really try to create demand around a product, let's say makeup. It was really about a deficiency, right? Like you don't want to get old, you don't want this, you don't want that, right? So here, let me give you this product so you're not that. But now with the transformation economy, it's much more about, hey, you're awesome enough, you're good enough, right? Like we're gonna help you transform into your full potential. So it's a total shift, which I think is actually very healthy. And it's really great because again, we're all here to cheer each other on and we're all here to support each other in reaching our full potential. So with that, I'm gonna now, oh yeah, I forgot, Q&A. I already almost went off script. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing my screen here so we can all see each other. And yeah, even like, does anyone have any thoughts, comments, questions? Just unmute yourself and go for it.
I have one. This is something that I think about a lot as an artist is how to pair business with art in new ways.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that I keep coming back to, especially in Denver and in the West, as immersive art is a huge momentum right now, how do you find authenticity within the trend of immersive art? Do you have thoughts on that?
Well, I would say before I go, does anyone want to try to tackle that? Because I was just going to point out, and I'm doing this because Linda's next to me on my like box or whatever. I was going to point it over to her because I think that's a little bit about the story piece that we're going to get into next.
I think it is the using the word authenticity. I think even if you separate it a little bit from, you know, the art and the movement, how you express yourself authentically, I think everybody here probably has something to, I read, you know, the applications and you all have something to say about that. How have you found it? Like, how do you use your authenticity to express what your business is? Who has a thought about that? How do they use who they are?
Well, I have one kind of, I guess, way that I think about it is, okay, so we all have our fingerprint, right? And our fingerprint is totally uniquely us. There is no one else with that fingerprint. So what I like to say is like, or a question is, how do you live in that fingerprint? And really kind of understand what that means, because when you're doing that, that's called competitive advantage in business, because there's no one who can do quite what you can do. And I think the hard part about that kind of goes back to what we're saying about this like transformation economy is this like kind of being able to self-actualize to understand what that uniqueness is and then really kind of own it and be like, I'm going to do this business because of X, Y, and Z, because my own personal experiences have made me the perfect person to deliver that certain thing.
And you know, I was thinking of Christine. I just know you have the photography business, right? And if you must have to, because there's a lot of photographers, how do you bring your authenticity to what you do? Something that would be hard for me to imagine. Like, how do you be an authentic photographer? How do you think about that?
Fun. Like everybody's a photographer now with their smartphone.
Good point. Okay, you're right.
You know, there's editing style and how I capture them. I like to use a studio so I can control the lighting and the experience I give them. I make sure they have everything they need. So while they're here, it's like a vacation.
And that's an expression of yourself, you think? Is that stuff that you like or stuff that you like to, yeah.
Yeah.
What about anybody else that has like Chris, I'd be interested about how is beer? How do you find your authenticity in beer?
So for me, it's what I grew up with. I grew up in Germany as a kid, and that was just, it wasn't even so much the beer itself, it was the entire experience around it. The German Gasthaus or the English pub, which is where everybody goes just to say hi to everybody. It's like, it's really the original third space. There was home, there was work, and there's the pub or the Gasthaus. And that's really what, I think for us brings it all together is, I love beer and I can talk about it with people for days. But really just providing that space for everybody to come and enjoy, not only their friends and family, but the beer along with it. So,
yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
This is Todd.
Yeah, Todd.
So, hi. So we own an escape room business, and the way we kind of keep our experience authentic is we really pick storylines for our games that we really find fascinating. It might be a game or it might be a historical event or something like that. And because we have that passion or that interest in it, we develop a game around it. And we really found that our customers really like that. They like the little details we put in there because we generally are interested in what we're doing. We don't just pick a game because this is something that we think kids will like or adults will like. We do it because we think this is a really cool theme. And I find it interesting. Maybe the rest of the world will too.
Can anybody identify with Todd? Like, I find it interesting, but I hope everybody else does. That's probably every small business owner, right? Yeah. Yeah. Brian, did you have any more questions or should we transition?
Yeah, well, I would just say, I think one thing to just kind of maybe like my last thought on Frankie's question is, like, I think it's like when you're at a business and it's like, at least for me, because I'm a very visual person. And let's say like, you're at a business where maybe like the graphic was printed out on a printer, right? And it's like put on the wall and it's like totally perfect. And I think like you're able to just like kind of pick up on that perfection. And there's something that's a little bit like inauthentic to the perfection of it. Where then when I'm at a space and I see that it's like hand painted and I see that it's like, again, like that line isn't totally straight. And I think it's just those subtle details, right, that you start to just subconsciously pick up on. And like, I think that right there is like, again, like it's kind of just like being bold enough to like have that imperfection is what then starts to, I think, attract people, because I think it's just like everything, again, like if you think about business, like a lot of it is so perfect, right? That now when you start to see that maybe the line is a little like not perfect, I think that there's just like a warmth to it that like attracts you to it because it is different.
Well, I think that is that actually will overlap with some of the things that I'm going to talk about. Watch for that, you guys. Like what Brian was just saying overlaps with what I'm going to talk about with story and narrative. So I use a term called narrative infrastructure. And I want to talk about building narrative infrastructure. And I have a question for you guys. Can strong stories create customer loyalty? It's a question because this is a theory. Okay. I don't know if this is fact, but it's sure. I think I can bridge together the facts and make a good theory out of it. So I'm going to go kind of fast because this is not about you guys taking notes or memorizing anything. This is just really a talk about how story affects business. And my goal is to kind of churn the dirt so we kind of make some fertile ground for thinking and being creative. Don't feel like you have to get every little bit of this or memorize or anything. So just give you a little background of where I come from and how this kind of all this sort of lens of how I look at the world. I've I'm mostly coming from the entertainment world. So I have all this experience in entertainment, live entertainment, mostly comedy. And then a few years ago, I started like developing businesses and became an entrepreneur. So I found this really crazy sort of interesting spot where this all comes together. And that's where I've been working lately. And that's where this sort of story business came out of. So I want to start with just defining some terms, okay? Because everybody's been talking about story a lot in business these days. So for me, just the real basic definition of story is it's a series of events and feelings that are shared. Super basic, right? Now, you might be thinking in this context, in business, what I'm going to talk about is not the story of your business. You know, like the story of your business would be like, oh, in 1974, we opened our doors on Main Street. You know, that's the story of your business. And that has its role, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today, I want to talk about not the story of your business, but the story your business tells. What's the outward facing story that people experience when they interact with your business? So that's the kind of story we're going to talk about. And then I want to talk about narrative. Like, what's the difference, story, narrative? Well, narrative is really just how a story is told. Like, you have a story that's fixed, but you might tell the end at the beginning, the beginning at the end. And here's a fun example of narrative, right? Let's say, not that I ever did this, but you came home late from a party in high school and you had to tell your parents where you were, right? Well, there's a story about where you were, but you probably didn't tell the whole story. And what the parts that you told, that's the narrative. Okay, so that gives you an example of what's between story and narrative. So I have this theory about this journey that gets us from narrative infrastructure, a really strong story, all the way to customer loyalty, which in general in business, that's what we're looking for, is customer loyalty. And I'll take you through these steps. We're going to go from narrative infrastructure to what is really the simplest story is context and orientation. And when you provide context and orientation, it's an act of hospitality. And hospitality allows for co-creation and participation from your customers or your patrons, your business, your users. And that creates belonging, which leads to affiliation. And once you've affiliated, loyalty, the loyalty seed is planted. So we'll go through this a little bit. We're going to start there and get there. So we'll start with the narrative infrastructure. And like I said, it's a really strong story. It's like thinking of something it's like a guiding principle, something you can always refer back to, whether you're designing something for your business, whether you're thinking about advertising for your business, making some changes in your business. It's a guiding document, it's a story you can always refer back to. And basically, and in its simplest sense, a story is just context and orientation. And let me explain what I mean by that. So context and orientation, that's we as humans love to know where we are, what's our role, what's expected of me in this situation, where should I be, where should I not be. Those are really comfortable things for us to know, because this is like caveman brain stuff. And I know that it doesn't look like a caveman, it looks like Charlie Brown with a hangover, but I did my best. That's the caveman brain stuff, because that's what we're talking about, it's like the lizard stuff. We want to know what's expected of us, and we love recognizable patterns. So in this context of business, here's a really super simple story and context and orientation. Hey, I am a customer, you are a shopkeeper. That is a really simple context / story. I know what I am, you know what you are, and we are going to transact. Now, maybe the story gets a little more complicated. Maybe I am shopping for snowshoes, and now I have to go to a sporting goods store. So now it's me, shopper, looking for snowshoes, you, customer, you, proprietor, selling sporting goods. So now the story just got a little more complex. The narrative got more dense. And when you provide these things that people want so badly, this context of what's expected of me and where should I be, what that is an act of hospitality. And we all know what hospitality is, but I like to use the word deep hospitality, because I'm talking about hospitality for the unconscious mind, when we don't really notice it. So do a little thought experiment. Think of your brand, your business, as the host of a party, okay? And think about it, like what does a good host do? Well, a host, the host meets you at the door, right? And they might say, oh, look, over here, you can put your coat on the bed. Oh, and thank you, brought a nice little plate of vegetables. You can put those on the table. It's like, okay, now I kind of know where I am. That's the bed, that's the table. And now a good host might provide some context. Like, oh, you know what? At 9 o'clock, we're going to cut the cake and sing happy birthday. And so now you have some kind of, oh, it's a birthday party. All right. Yeah. And I kind of know how long it's going to go. So that's some nice context from your host. And then a really good host might even go, hey, you know what? Jackie and Jean are here. They love fly fishing like you do. I bet you've been to some of the same places. A good host will connect you with the party. And now you understand there is space for you here. There's space for you to be at the party. You fit in. So this is it's your brand, it's your business, being this good host. Think about it in that way. And here's a good example of deep hospitality, a way to think about it. You all probably know the sport of curling. It's where you slide the stone, across the ice, right, and you score points. And this is a curling stone. My husband said, "Why do you have a potato with a doorknob in it?" No, it's a curling stone. So curling stone. When you watch curling, you probably have seen it. There's always someone out in front with a broom, sweeping really fast. And I used to always think, well, they're sweeping the debris out of the way so the rock can go as far as it can. Come to find out, that's not it. They are scrubbing the ice so hard, they are actually melting a very thin layer of water. And that rock can't help but follow that little invisible stream of water, and it goes right where they want it to. And I think that's like deep hospitality. We are unconsciously drawn to the deepest hospitality. We can't help it. And when we are in places where we know we fit in, and there is space created for us, that is where we transition into co-creation and participation. We go from being at the party to being of the party. Like, we are actually creating the party now. We're not just at it. So this is where it's like, think about your business, where we just say a lot to people about our business. Like, this is what to notice about us. This is what to notice about us. This is what to notice about us. And what happens if you flip it and ask a question instead? What do you notice about us? Like, more periods, less question marks. Like, instead of this is who we are, this is who we are, this is who we are, the question becomes, who are we together? Leave gaps in your business for people to come in and be to build something with you. And we love to build, we love to fill in gaps, we love to associate. We get a little shot of endorphins every time we associate, which means create a story in our minds. That's just science, and we can't help it. And I'll give you a little example. This is really fun. Okay, I'm going to show you a picture, and I'm not going to necessarily describe exactly what it is. I'll let you guys figure it out. So maybe a person, right, doing something. Now I'm going to show you another picture, and you just let your brain relax, because you will not be able to help this. Your brain will automatically associate the two into a little story. So watch what happens. Okay, well, now what, right? Like, okay, what, the fish is dying, he's reading the CPR manual, it's a horrible restaurant where they serve fish on the floor and he's reading a menu. Maybe they're both at the bus stop and Mr. Fish is going to work, we don't know. But you made up something, you made up that connection, and we are rewarded with brain chemicals when we make those connections. So you always have to leave space, for something to be discovered. So in your think about your business and your brand. This is a little diagram that I use. So that the bumpy line there, that's your story. And then the dark part underneath, that's the infrastructure. That's the dense part of the story that holds everything up. And the darker that is, the denser the story, the more you understand your business. And those little bits that come above the line, that's the narrative. Those are the parts that shine through. Now, those little people, they're standing in the gaps because they are filling in the gaps. They don't need to know the whole story. They just need to know that there's room for them to co-create their experience. Think of like a Mad Lib. Mad Libs are super fun, right? Because there's like a dozen blanks in this paragraph and you fill them in and it makes a funny story. But what if the whole paragraph is blank? No, that's no fun. That's too much work. You want to give people just enough work, just enough of a gap to fill in. So when we know where there's space for us in a business, in an entity, in a movement, in a brand, and there's places that for us to help co-create, that is what creates belonging. And belonging, that goes back to caveman brain stuff. Like, after food, water, shelter, Well, you saw Brian's pyramid. After food, water, shelter, what? Belonging. We need to know who our tribe is, right? And when we are co-creating and we know that the brand, the business changes because we contributed, it matters that you are here. It doesn't matter that just somebody was a customer. It mattered that that person was the customer and they feel like they contributed and they have ownership of the outcome. And when you belong, it leads, if you belong and you believe, when you belong deep enough, it leads to affiliation. And affiliation is a little different than belonging. Actually, the definition is cool. The definition of affiliation is adopted family. It's where you move from liking something to having something be a part of it, part of you. Like you go from I like to I am. And think about a really simple example is Apple computers. Some people might say, like, I like Apple. I like my Apple device, like my Apple, you know, like I like Apple computers. But some people say, I'm an Apple person. So they have actually internalized the brand to become a part of how they describe themselves. And once you get to that kind of affiliation, loyalty naturally follows that deep love and affection where you've defined yourself by something. It comes with a ton of inertia. It's really hard to change what you think about yourself. And it's resistant even to rational thought, which is great and a little scary, maybe, I don't know. But it's hard to move on once loyalty has set in. And so that's the journey I take when I think about narrative infrastructure. Strong story, which is really just context and orientation, leads to deep hospitality, which leaves space for co-creation and participation, creates belonging, becomes affiliation, and you have customer loyalty. So that was a lot, I understand, but here's some questions just to kind of have in the back of your head, think about things when you want to. So can a strong story create customer loyalty? What story does your brand or business tell? When and where do you offer deep hospitality? And where are the gaps for co-creation? So what do you guys think? Like, what part of that rings really true for you? What part of it was like, yes, I get that part? What part was like, you think that me the most important to you or the most impactful?
This is Laura, and my shop is Teats for Table. So everything is curated at the beginning from things obviously that I source and I know I love, and then curated into my store. And I think my store can absolutely tell its own story by the table settings and the groupings of things throughout the store. And obviously everybody has their own personal style or their own personal, when they come in, maybe they're looking for dinnerware, maybe they're just looking at wanting to do a tablescape. It's my job to show off the store. It's my job to show them where things are throughout the store, but it's their job to bring in their personal discoveries and the things that they really love. And then we actually have a table where we create things together. And so that really resonated with me. And it's really important. Things I've found, I'm a talker, and I have found that I can't over talk, because if I'm talking to somebody a lot, it's not giving them that space to really think and look and discuss. So once I've shown off the store, I really need to back off, let them have some quiet time. There's a lot to look at. So then as they have questions, and if we need to create together, but important that, you got to walk the whole store, and sometimes you got to do it a couple of times because you'll miss some things. But that's where I really found my journey with this whole experience aspect and creating together, because there's a lot of creating that goes on in the store.
You know what I also heard was that you have basically the story, everything in the store is your story, but when you start curating things for them to kind of come around, or things that you think they might like, you're creating a narrative, because it's only part of the story, it's only part of the shop. So thank you for sharing that, Laura. Anybody else have an experience of like where in their business there are some gaps for co-creation, or where there could be? What do you see in your business?
I want to know. Oh, go ahead, Christine.
I was just really excited about the co-creation part you had in there. because when making portraits, I get to know my portrait families. I meet with them at least twice before I actually take their pictures. I get to know how they decorate their homes, what kind of artwork they're looking to hang, what colors, the relationships they want to capture, and everything's customized. And that's exactly how I feel about the co-creation, and we work together and we build relationships. And I get to know them. They're my families.
Exactly. Yeah. Affiliation, right? Yeah. And they know that the process turned out differently because they participated.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a great example. Thanks, Christine. Bridget, what did you want to share?
I was going to say, so I'm an herbalist and have a botanical company and do different consults, but then also I have a ton of different, like over 30 classes and over 40 products that we make. So lots of fun botanical things, and all of it is based off of, I've traveled around the world studying different plants and like different traditions. So I like the idea. It really resonated with me. Like, what is that gap? Because I haven't thought about that too much, but you know, when I'm working with somebody, it's like creating their plant story. Like, well, what are the different plants that are going to be able to work with you to make you feel good or happy or support your life in whatever way that they're looking for? So that's kind of like they're sharing their story with me, and then I can kind of create this plant story, and then it's like that merging. So I think that that's a cool space to think about. And, you know, like even what kinds of classes might they want to look at and create? Well, not them create, but, you know, go on a journey with me through the classes.
Yes. I love the idea of a plant story.
Yeah.
I want someone to show me a plant story. That is awesome. Anybody else? Hey, Veronica, what's on your mind? I don't think we've heard anything from you yet.
Yeah. Well, I'm also with Todd with the Clue Room. So
okay.
He shares, I feel the same. So I didn't want to, feel like it was too overcrowded. I just wanted to also kind of participate in the call as well. I guess with co-creation, it's one of those things, to a lot of people's points, like you don't know, like you do it sometimes, but you don't realize it doesn't have like a label for you. It's just kind of part of the process. Mm-hmm. A lot of the time for us, I mean, of course, we build the games ahead of time. So when it's a customer that comes through the door, it's about us, finding out what their experience with escape rooms are. We're not going to put them in a most advanced room if they've never done it before. Yeah. Like, it's about us tailoring the experience for them that's going to give them the most fun and fulfilling experience. Before COVID times, we worked with even more corporations and schools to make games for them, like mobile games with them. So that's something that we're starting to push into towards everything normalizing again now. But that's kind of how we bridge the gap between a corporation that they have creatives that work in, their departments, but they may be more of an engineering company. And so bringing the escape rooms and engineering together, we kind of will bridge the gap, and we make games that are kind of more tailored towards not necessarily what their expertise is, because I don't know how to build a rocket, so I'm not gonna like make a game about how to build a rocket, but I'm gonna theme it around, that whole experience of launching one or whatever it may be. So it's like, we try and bridge the two fields together. Like, yeah, you'd mentioned earlier, Linda, like you had entertainment and your passion for business kind of intersected together. It's like we're pretty flexible, I guess. We can adapt to a lot of different situations since we create the games ourselves.
Sure. What was interesting about what you said, Veronica, was it just gave you different language to talk about it. And that might be something that somebody else has taken away. It's just sometimes just even a new label for a concept can get the creative juices flowing.
Definitely. It gives you a step to always think about. You're like, oh, you had to think about the co-creation step. But I like the affiliation too a lot. I think as an Apple user as well, or as a millennial, we always like to identify, we have our loyalties towards things. So it's like, oh, I prefer Netflix to Hulu or whatever it may be. Or, it's like, I think, and it's tough for small businesses to be able to really get that affiliation. But I think part of it is just the customers that come through your door, they already kind of have that, that I'm coming here because, again, it's that name for something that you don't even realize is existing already.
Well, here's something for everybody to think about, kind of piggybacking on what Veronica said, is she was talking about Hulu and Netflix. Think about something that is an affiliation for you or a loyalty that you have, and think about what about their story made you become loyal or an affiliate. For me, it would be like Southwest Airlines. And I think about, why is that? Because they treat me like a people, like they see a people when I'm there, not just a customer, you know? So think about those kind of things. Brian, did you have anything you wanted to share in this space?
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things I was just thinking about is like the co-creation with like the people you are experiencing the thing with. And so like dinners, right? When you go out to a dinner and really like you're at the table and you're co-creating the experience together. So like as the person that's hosting that dinner, like what kind of tools can you like really kind of supply to the participants so you can enhance their co-creation together? And so like, I think like, even just like on a very basic level, like I think about when I was little and I would go to those diners that would then have like the table mats with games and stuff, right? And like you're playing the game while you're waiting for the dinner. And like, that's just a really simple thing, right? To like provide for people, right? Like just a space even to play like a tic-tac-toe game where then you can be like, oh yeah, I totally won that game and it enhanced my experience. So I think like, yeah, just kind of thinking about that type of co-creation too.
Awesome. Well, I think, Brian, we have just a couple minutes left and I really want to respect everybody's time. Maybe I was thinking is I'm going to talk about the worksheet, the homework.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then maybe you and I can hang out for a couple extra minutes if there's folks who still want to talk or ask questions. Is that Is that okay to offer it to them before I send
it? Yes. And also, I'm going to say this. So before we do that, so next month's session on April 16th, and I'm going to send all this to everyone. Linda will be back and we're going to really use next week's session as really like a working session because we kind of feel that, right, this is the kind of most important part to making sure that we're launching from a solid place. So we're going to be spending all the time next session just really working on all this stuff. So I'll hand it over to you and then I'll close it back out after you're done with that.
Okay. So we've got a little worksheet for you guys that walks you through some ways of thinking about your user, your customer. I guess I spend too much time in the world of software. You're thinking about your customer in a different way. And then Brian was talking about the experience economy is now sort of shifting into the transformational economy where people want to always be becoming. And so it's got some questions in there thinking about who your customer wants to become. And just some different ways of thinking about it. It's not like a hard worksheet, but there's 6 or 7 questions. And give it as much time. You have a month, so give it some time, and I think it'll make our next conversation really rich. Here's what it is, and we're going to email it to you. But basically, you think about your customer. What do they want? What do they know? What don't they know? Who do they want to become? And then a little fun thing at the end where you get to draw your customer engaging with your business. So that's I'm looking forward to seeing. Okay. All right. I think I've wrapped up what I need to say. Brian, you want to close this out?
Yeah. So next steps for really our meeting next time. So well, I was telling them earlier, I love giving homework instead of like receiving homework because I'm so much better to give than receive. So anyway, so yes, homework, we will give you the homework. And then I'm going to follow up too, which is the survey. Again, going back to what time works best for everyone and also just like how we did and don't be shy, just like let us have it so we can make this this program as awesome as possible. And I think, yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say.
Awesome.
Brian, would you mind if I said one more thing?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. I just wanted to again thank everybody for being here. And just as Linda was talking, I started to think about this group as a tribe in and of itself, and how we can boost the experience for Centennial businesses. And I think you all could really be a flagship that sparks something really interesting for our city. So I just really appreciate you all being here, and just wanted to say too, if you have any other friends in the business community that you think would fit well into this conversation, and please let us know, and we'd love to bring them along with us on the journey. Thank you.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Well, sweet.
So, yeah, I do have a couple extra minutes if anybody would stick around. So feel free to go though. Bye.
Happy Friday, everyone. Thank you. We're so excited.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, stay warm, enjoy the snow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
I had